Hello children, let's begin with a new chapter, that is chapter number 15, Probability of Standard 10th. Let us begin with the introductory part of the topic, that is probability. As such, you have been studying about probability for last few years. Let us revise a little bit and then proceed. Now there are two types of probability. One is experimental or empirical probability. It is defined as probabilities that are based on the results of an actual experiment. In this, you are actually doing the experiment, collecting the data, and whatever data you get, based on it, if you calculate, you get the experimental or empirical probability. The next type is theoretical or classical probability. In this, you use your brain, you do a lot of calculations, and then you get to know the probability. Here you are not actually doing it experimentally. So it is a method to express the likelihood that something will occur. It is calculated by dividing the number of favorable outcomes by the total possible outcomes. So this is all about calculations and your processing. Next, we come to a topic that is equally likely events. Now, if two events are there and the chance of both of them happening is equal, then it is equally likely event. So the definition is, when the likelihood of happening of two events are same, they are known as equally likely events. So let us see an example. If we toss a coin, there are equal chances of getting a head or a tail. So you all know that a coin has a head and a tail. If you toss it, there is equal chances of getting a head or a tail. So we'll say that getting a head or a tail by tossing a coin is an equally likely event. Now let us study about certain important points. Here, probability of an event is shown as a formula. It is number of outcomes favorable to the event which we are talking about. Here event is shown by E. So it is number of outcomes favorable to E divided by number of all possible outcomes of the experiment. An outcome of a random experiment is called an elementary event. So any event that you may get as a random event, it is known as elementary event. The sum of the probabilities of all the elementary events of an experiment is 1. So now if you consider certain events which are happening and you are taking the sum of all those in a single experiment, then when you add them up, the total probability, that is the sum of the probabilities, it will be always 1. Now let us take an example. For n as number of events, probability of E1, probability of E2, and so on up to probability of En, whatever number of events are happening, when you add those probability, the total will be always equal to 1. More important points to remember. The probability of an impossible event is 0. If there is no possibility of an event to happen, for example, if I take an example of sun rising in the west, which is never going to happen, the probability of such an event is 0. The probability of a sure or certain event is 1. So if I take the opposite of it, sun rising in the east, that is the only possibility. So this is a sure event and its probability is 1. For any event E, probability of the event will always lie from 0 to 1. That is 0 less or equal to probability of the event less or equal to 1. So probability is a number which may start from 0 and it may end up to 1. The probability of an event cannot be negative. It is as less as 0, so it cannot be a negative number. If E and E dash or E bar represents occurring or not occurring events respectively, so probability of the event and the probability of E bar that is not happening of that event, it is 1. Moreover, E and E bar, they are known as complementary events. One is happening, the other one is not happening. The entire is adding up to 1 and we call the events to be complementary events. Certain basic knowledge which we'll need for solving the examples. If one coin is tossed, the outcomes may be a head or a tail. If two coins are tossed, the outcomes may be HH, that is both heads, TT, that is both tails, HT, that means first coin is showing heads, the other one is showing tail. TH, that is first coin is showing tail, whereas the second one is showing head. So when two coins are tossed, there are 4 possibilities. If 3 coins are tossed, the outcomes may be HHH, TTT, HHT, HTH, THH, TTH, THT, HTT. Here when we check, we'll see that the event HHT, HTH, THH are completely different. The placement of the head and the tail on the coin is very important. So in all we get 8 outcomes when 3 coins are tossed. Next we are talking about dice. If one die or a dice is tossed, the outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. These are the numbers which are imprinted on it, so you may get any of the numbers. When 2 dice or die are tossed, the outcomes are, so you can see the outcomes over there. Out of these, any of the numbers may appear. In all, there are 36 outcomes. Now, when you play with a card and you think of a deck of a card, there are 4 suites of 13 cards each. So you can see all the ones shown here. They are spades, that is the last one here, that is the leaf, black colored leaf. Then you have hearts, that is the first one. Diamonds, that is the second one. And you have clubs, that is shown here by black colored third card. So these are the 4 designs, that are the 4 suites which you get when you have a deck of cards. Spades and clubs are black colored cards. Those are the last 2. Hearts and diamonds are red colored cards. They are the first 2. Now, the cards in each suite are ace, that is number 1. Then you have king, queen and jack. They are shown here. Then the remaining are all numbers 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Kings, queens and jacks are called face card. Now when you look at these 3 cards, you will see that the faces are shown over there only in these 3 cards, which are represented by either J, Q or K, that is jack, queen or king. So in all these are called as face cards, whereas the other cards wherein you have just the numbers, they are called as number cards. So with these all knowledge, we are going to solve a lot of examples related to probability in the coming videos. Till then, keep studying. Thank you for now.